Tom Brady doesn't text rookies. He doesn't send signed jerseys. And he definitely doesn't offer private mentorship to guys who've played just one NFL game. But last night, something changed. A little-known rookie named Sanders stepped onto the field for the Cleveland Browns and dismantled a veteran defense so effortlessly, it left fans stunned, coordinators scrambling, and one man, the 7-time Super Bowl champion himself, reaching for his phone. This wasn't a good debut, this was a statement. The kind that sends ripple effects through every front office in the league. Some are calling it the most important rookie performance since Brady's own in 2001. But the story runs deeper. A secret months-long connection between past and present, doubt turned into dominance, and a locker room that went from divided to electric. So, how did a mid-round rookie captivate the greatest quarterback of all time? What did Tom Brady see in Sanders that the rest of the league completely missed? The answer might change the future of NFL quarterback development forever. Nobody expected this. Sure, analysts knew Sanders was getting the start. 5th-round rookie, raw talent, thrown into the fire against a Panthers defense loaded with veterans. Most expected a safe game plan. Handoffs, short throws, a few flashes, maybe. But Cleveland didn't open the night trying to protect Sanders. They unleashed him, and what followed wasn't just surprising, it was a clinic. Sanders opened with confidence that made fans do a double take. His very first series featured a 3rd-and-long conversion, not a check down, but a laser across the middle, placed perfectly between 2 defenders. No hesitation, no nerves, just command. That's the word coaches kept repeating after the game, command. Over 4 quarters, Sanders completed 14 of 23 passes for 138 yards and 2 touchdowns. On paper, solid numbers. But the film tells a very different story, one of composure under pressure, flawless decision-making, and leadership you simply don't teach. He wasn't rattled when the Panthers blitzed. He wasn't flustered when the pocket collapsed. In fact, Sanders moved through reads like a seasoned veteran, looking off defenders, anticipating breaks before they happened, and keeping the offense in total rhythm. And you could feel the shift. The Browns, a team haunted by decades of quarterback mediocrity, suddenly had a kid under center who didn't just manage the moment, he owned it. Receivers started fighting for extra yards. Linemen gave him that extra half second. Even the defense played like something had changed. Because it had. This wasn't some raw athlete stumbling into a lucky night. This was a rookie who showed up, prepared, poised, and ready to take over. And inside league circles, phones started lighting up. Scouts who'd shrugged off Sanders on draft day were now rewatching every tape they'd missed. GMs began whispering to insiders, "How did we overlook this kid?" Within hours, the narrative had shifted. Sanders wasn't some developmental project. He wasn't an injury replacement. He was the real deal, and everybody could see it. But what they didn't know yet was that someone had already seen this coming. Someone who knows what greatness looks like long before it becomes obvious. Because while Sanders was outplaying most rookies and a few veterans in his very first NFL game, Tom Brady was watching. And what he did next stunned the league. Tom Brady has seen it all. 23 seasons, 7 rings, countless players with potential who never delivered when the lights got bright. He's praised some, ignored most, and rarely inserted himself into the storyline. When you're the standard for greatness, your words are calculated, your time is protected, and your approval isn't handed out to just anyone. So when Sanders walked off the field after shredding the Panthers' defense, the last thing anyone expected was a message waiting for him from the greatest of all time. And yet, that's exactly what happened. In the hours after the Browns' dominant 37 victory, Tom Brady didn't just tweet a vague compliment, like he's done with other young guys in the past. He made it personal. First, a private message, simple, direct, and rare. Then a second gesture that told the entire league this wasn't just Brady being polite. A signed jersey delivered directly to Sanders' locker with a handwritten message. "Stay humble, keep proving them wrong." Players and staff reportedly stood frozen when they saw it. The moment was emotional. Sanders, still processing the biggest night of his life, now found himself holding a jersey from the man who defined football greatness. The clearest sign yet that this wasn't just a good performance. It was the beginning of something bigger. But there's more to this than meets the eye. Sources inside the Browns facility quietly confirmed what many suspected later. This wasn't Tom Brady reacting to what he saw last night. This was Tom Brady confirming something he'd seen long before. According to multiple insiders, Brady had been tracking Sanders since his college years. Despite a low draft profile and little national buzz, Sanders apparently displayed qualities Brady admires most: mental toughness, film obsession, and that intangible edge. Weeks before Sanders even took a snap in the NFL, Brady had already reached out. Quietly. Privately. No fanfare. No headlines. He offered advice, sent resources, gave guidance on preparing under pressure, building mental endurance, managing expectations, and staying locked in on game day. One source even said he included direct annotations from Brady's own playbook. That kind of access? Unheard of. This wasn't generic mentorship, it was calculated, structured, strategic. Brady was doing what many believe Bill Belichick once did for him, crafting a monster in the shadows. And while some might see it as just a cool cross-generational connection, those who know Brady say it means far more, because Brady doesn't extend this kind of olive branch unless he sees himself in you. And last night, under the lights, Sanders maybe reminded him of a much younger Tom Brady. The focus, the chip on his shoulder, the refusal to blink. Even the fans picked up on the eerie comparisons. Social media lit up with side-by-side clips. Sanders' pocket awareness, his low-key leadership, the way he got the ball out just in time to the third option. All of it quietly screamed, Brady DNA. And suddenly, the jersey wasn't just a gift, it was a torch. Passed from one era to the next. Coaches across the league took notice. Scouts went from skeptical to obsessed. Analysts who once doubted the Browns' QB plans were now asking if Sanders was set to become the biggest sleeper success in 20 years. And behind the scenes, Brady isn't done. Sources say he's scheduling regular weekly check-ins with Sanders' film sessions, game breakdowns, cerebral-level strategy development. This isn't a drive-by endorsement, it's a long-term investment. The GOAT has made his choice clear. Now the question is, what does he know that the rest of the world is just starting to see? To the average viewer, what happened on that field looked like a breakout, but to those inside the Cleveland Browns organization, it wasn't a breakout, it was a payoff. Because this moment, it didn't start under primetime lights. It started months ago behind closed doors, in meeting rooms, film halls, and weight rooms most fans will never see. The Browns took a massive gamble, and it began the day they selected Sanders in the 5th round. No top media buzz. No flashy draft night moment. Just a quiet name read from a podium, followed by tweets filled with confusion and criticism. Who is this guy? Fans asked. Some even assumed he was a practice squad prospect, barely clinging to a backup role. But upstairs, in the owner's suite, the vision was already forming. According to multiple sources inside the facility, it was ownership, not the coaching staff, who greenlit the Sanders pick and pushed for his accelerated development. From the beginning, there was internal conflict. Coaching saw potential, yes, but also rawness. They wanted time, reps, patience. Ownership said no. They believed Sanders had it, the same it Brady would later see, the same it that separates good QBs from generational cornerstones. And they weren't interested in waiting for consensus approval, they wanted results now. So they started building behind the scenes. Extra hours on the film projector, exclusive meetings not listed on the official practice schedule, quiet conversations with the offensive coordinator. A completely revised playbook package, specifically tailored to Sanders' mobility, decision-making, and field vision. Over the preseason, coaches pushed back, murmuring caution, raising concerns. And Sanders? He stayed silent. No ego, no media headlines, just work. But work that was being noticed where it counted. Veteran defenders began whispering in the locker room, "This kid's different." Practice reps started to turn heads. Safeties couldn't bait him into rookie mistakes. Blitz packages failed to rattle him. And slowly, the resistance started to fade. By late camp, it became undeniable. Despite his draft round, despite the system being new, despite every logical reason to keep him sitting, Sanders was outperforming everyone. So when the Browns made the decision to name him Week 1 starter, it wasn't a Hail Mary. It wasn't desperation. It was strategy in motion. The public thought chaos. The locker room felt clarity. Still, even internally, no one expected the Panthers game to hit like that. They anticipated progression, not perfection. But Sanders didn't flinch. Not in the huddle, not under the rush, not under pressure. Why? because he'd already been mentally there for months. Every moment of work, from shadowing game film to running off-season drills in total silence, to analyzing Tom Brady's all-22s frame by frame, had created readiness that couldn't be manufactured overnight. And when Brady himself made contact, Sanders didn't act surprised. Privately, he told a Browns assistant coach, "I've been preparing for this text my whole life." That moment, that acknowledgement from Brady wasn't luck. It confirmed what Sanders already believed: he belongs. This wasn't a sleeper story. It wasn't an underdog fluke. It was a calculated rise that no one outside the facility was ready for. But they are now. And what happens when doubt turns into belief? When a player graduates from skepticism to trust, not just from fans and coaches, but from teammates? Everything changes. But the truth is, Sanders didn't rise alone. There was someone in his corner before the game even kicked off. Someone who'd already seen this story play out once. And now, he was ready to help it happen again. This wasn't a one-time message. What looked like a classy gesture from Tom Brady was actually just the surface of something deeper, a carefully developing mentorship that had already been in motion weeks before Sanders took his first NFL snap. According to multiple league insiders, Brady had quietly reached out to Sanders during the preseason. The connection wasn't random. Brady had scouted Sanders during his college years, reportedly telling people close to him that the kid had mental traits you can't coach. But this wasn't just encouragement, it was instruction. Film study breakdowns, pre-snap checklist building, subtle mechanics coaching, even recovery routines and media training tactics Brady learned the hard way. One source claimed Brady shared annotated scripts from his own 2016 Patriots offense adapted for Sanders' dual-threat ability. This was mentorship with purpose, building a new generation quarterback from the GOAT's blueprint. And now, following Sanders' massive debut, that mentorship isn't slowing down, it's deepening. Scheduled weekly calls, ongoing film sessions, real-time feedback as the season unfolds. This isn't about Brady passing the torch. It's about him guiding the next one, step by step. At first, there was tension, not open hostility, but unease. When Sanders was named the starter, more than a few Browns veterans raised eyebrows. Not because they disliked the kid, but because the move felt risky. You don't hand the offense to a fifth-round rookie just to make headlines. To them, it looked like a premature gamble, a PR play, another experimental quarterback. That mindset didn't last long. By the end of Sanders' first game, the entire tone inside the locker room had flipped completely. Linemen who were quietly skeptical now, blocked like their lives depended on Sanders staying upright. Receivers who once saw him as the rookie were diving for extra yards. Defensive players, who never liked rookie-led offenses dragging the game out, suddenly played faster, louder, hungrier, because they saw a leader under center. And it all became crystal clear the moment Sanders walked back into the locker room after the game. Waiting for him wasn't just a media circus or high fives. There it was, hanging in his locker. A white Patriots jersey, 12 signed by Tom Brady with a message sharpied across the number. Stay humble. Keep proving them wrong. The entire room paused. Silence. No rookie had ever received something like that, not day one, not week one, and definitely not after just one start. Someone whispered, "Brady really did that?" Another veteran said quietly, "That's when we knew he's different." Players gathered around. Sanders stared. Stunned not because of the jersey, but what it meant. Respect. From a legend, yes, but also now from his own team. That moment wasn't about memorabilia. It was a signal. The GOAT had spoken, and inside the walls of NFL culture, that kind of recognition carries weight no coach's praise ever could. From that point forward, Sanders wasn't just the rookie quarterback, he was the guy. Players started noticing his habits, arriving earlier, studying later, communicating in the huddle like a veteran, leading by example. Never pointing fingers, always hungry for the next play. Even the doubters guys who'd been in the league a decade, who'd seen talented kids flame out, started defending him in interviews. One veteran linebacker reportedly told a coach, "Whatever it is, he's got it. Just let the kid cook." The coaching staff, which once treaded cautiously when discussing Sanders, now talked with confidence even if carefully avoiding any hype. But behind closed doors, the buzz was real. And it all came back to that cultural pivot. You don't build a winning team off stats alone, you build it on belief. And that jersey, that gesture, it united a locker room. Suddenly, every player wasn't just fighting for their paycheck, they were fighting for their quarterback. Because when someone like Tom Brady recognizes greatness, You stop questioning. You start protecting. On paper, Sanders' numbers looked solid. 14 completions on 23 attempts, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, but scratch beneath the surface, and things get far more impressive. His adjusted completion percentage, removing drops, throwaways, and pressure-induced escapes, climbed to 73%. That's elite for any quarterback, let alone a rookie in his very first NFL start. And under pressure, he didn't just survive, he excelled. Sanders' quarterback rating on third down topped 115. His pocket presence, poise, and decision-making left even veteran defenders puzzled. Carolina came in prepared to rattle him. They dialed up tight man coverage, disguised blitzes, and tried to overload the edges. Sanders dismantled the plan. His first touchdown? Thrown before the receiver had even broken his route, a masterclass in anticipation. His second? Pure improvisation, extending the play, eyes downfield, spotting the secondary option in stride. Several defensive coaches admitted post-game, "We prepped for rookie mistakes. We got veteran execution instead." And that's what makes this debut different. It wasn't just mistake-free, it was surgically efficient, emotionally composed, and tactically advanced. The stats didn't just support the hype, they exposed something real. This isn't just about one win or one viral moment. What Sanders showed on that field has already begun reshaping the identity of an entire franchise and possibly the entire quarterback development model across the NFL. Let's start with Cleveland. This is a city that's seen it all 28 different starting quarterbacks since 1999. Busts, flameouts, short-term fixes that turned into long-term disasters. Every draft day promise somehow led to heartbreak. Browns fans didn't just want a quarterback, they needed a reason to believe again. And that belief, it lit up instantly in Sanders' debut. One game flipped the emotional temperature of an entire fan base. Suddenly, the memes died down, the sarcasm turned into optimism. And most importantly, inside the locker room and executive offices, the fog is finally clearing. Ownership now feels vindicated for pushing Sanders into the spotlight. Coaches who once hesitated to commit are now building around him. Game plans are changing. Tempo is increasing. Trust is rising. Chemistry is building. And the effects go beyond Cleveland. Around the league, general managers are watching the Sanders situation with newfound urgency. Because it's not just that he played well, it's how quickly he looked ready. This flies in the face of the old-school rookie sit-and-learn model. For years, teams have hesitated to start young quarterbacks too early. The philosophy was patience, development, and low expectations. But Sanders just brought that entire timeline into question. If a fifth-rounder with minimal preseason hype can explode under pressure and command a veteran locker room on day one, what does that say about the QBs taken before him? Scout departments are already reviewing their filters. How did we miss this? Did we underestimate his competitive edge? Did the intangibles get buried beneath outdated metrics? One AFC front office source reportedly said, "We're rethinking how we evaluate leadership and football IQ, not just arm strength." And for defensive coordinators, the task just got harder. They can no longer assume rookie QBs will fall apart under pressure. As one division coach said after the Browns game, "We don't have time to assume inexperience anymore. This kid forced us to bring our Week 10 playbook on his first start." Most importantly, Sanders has redefined what a young QB can be, not just someone who executes a plan, but someone who leads it. Meanwhile, Brady's clear endorsement only added gasoline to the shift. Not only has the GOAT rubber-stamped Sanders' future, but he's also opened the door to whether mentorship from elite veterans should become organized, even encouraged. The ripple effect is here. Front offices are adjusting, coaches are questioning their approach, and high-potential rookies everywhere, they're watching with fire in their eyes. Because one performance didn't just stabilize a long-suffering franchise, it might have sparked a quarterback revolution. Sometimes, a story outgrows the game. It stops being about X's and O's, stats and schemes, and becomes something else, entirely a cultural event. That's what happened after Sanders' debut. Within hours, it wasn't just NFL fans talking. It was everyone. Celebrities, musicians, content creators, rival players, even people who don't watch football were being pulled in because the moment transcended sport and entered the pop culture bloodstream. Brady's jersey post went viral in seconds. Instagram lit up with reposts from players across the league. TikTok videos analyzing Sanders' footwork reached millions of views. YouTube commentators rushed to drop instant reaction breakdowns, labeling this the dawn of a new era. One tweet simply read, "The GOAT passed the torch tonight, y'all better be watching." ESPN ran the highlight on repeat. F-Zone pivoted an entire segment to the Brady-Sanders connection. Talk radio exploded. Even Sanders' jersey sold out in under 12 hours. Manufacturers reportedly began overnight production increases to meet surging demand in Ohio and beyond. This wasn't just about what he did. It was about what he represented. Sanders stood on that field, surrounded by the weight of expectation, the weight of decades of quarterback failure in Cleveland, the skepticism of draft experts, and the silent judgment of every front office that passed on him. And he didn't just perform, he took control. He carried himself like someone raised in prime time. His post-game interviews were calm, focused, mature, no wild declarations, no forced humility. Just ownership, gratitude, poise. He deflected praise back to the team and refused to take personal credit. "That's not normal," one former quarterback said on live television. "That's leadership on another level." And maybe, just maybe, that's what Brady really saw: a young QB who was ready not just to play, but to carry a franchise, a city, and a legacy on his back. And that's where things get even bigger. Because football isn't just a game in America, it's a mirror. It reflects culture, emotion, struggle, and greatness. Every few years, a figure emerges who shifts not just how the game is played, but how it's perceived. Sanders might be on that path. He's not just a promising rookie anymore. He's something more rare, a symbol of what's possible when talent, preparation, and guidance align perfectly. If that sounds dramatic, it is. But remember, so was the Brady story. 6th-round pick, underdog, doubted, then suddenly, dynasty. Now, 2 decades later, the man who was the moment is creating another one, this time not with a football, but with a signature and a message. Stay humble, keep proving them wrong. And Sanders? He's doing exactly that. With one game, he rewrote the narrative. With one gesture, he earned the respect of the GOAT. With 1 week, he became the most talked-about rookie in football. But this moment didn't stop with the final whistle. It sparked something bigger, a cultural shift, a media frenzy, a national realization. The kid from nowhere just might be the future of everywhere. Tom Brady doesn't casually hand out recognition. He doesn't sign jerseys for just anyone, and he certainly doesn't mentor players he doesn't believe in. So when the greatest quarterback of all time not only praised a rookie but personally reached out, shared his playbook notes, and orchestrated a mentorship behind the scenes, you stop and ask why. Why this rookie? Why this team? Why now? Because we're not witnessing just another good debut. We're watching something deeper, a passing of legacy, a quiet acknowledgement from an all-time great that someone new has stepped into the arena and might just be worthy of standing there. The story of Sanders isn't remarkable because of one win or even one endorsement. It's remarkable because of what it symbolizes: that greatness doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it arrives humbly, silently, and then erupts all at once. And now the pressure multiplies. Every throw will be dissected, every mistake magnified, every comeback doubted, because that's what happens when you walk into the league with a legend behind you. But Sanders doesn't seem rattled. He doesn't flinch. He remembers every critic. He honors every supporter. And he wears that jersey, the one Brady sent, not like a trophy, but like a challenge. So now the question becomes, was Sanders' debut just a flash of brilliance? Or was it the spark that lights the next era of greatness? Either way, one thing is clear. Brady passed the torch. Now the league watches what Sanders does with the fire.